it's good to see the people who have the power to make you important pick the right people to be important. You know? So, yeah, to answer your question, the significance of these awards is double-sided. For the artists themselves to get that pat on the back, and for us to also go, okay, that's who I must look out for the next year or for the next 2 years. Because now you are the taste maker as Trace for what the new school music is supposed to sound like, or you're one of the tastemakers for that. So when you say Tyler ICU deserves Producer of the Year, I believe you. I genuinely believe you, because I can go back to his catalog and I'm like, yo, he actually did so many hits. But I'm only going back to the catalog now because, yeah.
As long as for the real Tyler ICU fans. That one's for the real Tyler
no
ICU fans.
No cap. So you get my point. Now even the old school fans are like, yeah, our guy is there now because they gave him the nod to say, yeah, no, Tyler, come in.
From Cnr Juta De Beer, imini nomsindisi wesiko, umvelisi Nqango umelisi wesizwe, formerly known as Wazi Madonsela, bringing you a show about creative entrepreneurs live from the landmark that not only birth SA street culture, but also formalizes street hustle.
Cnr Juta De Beer, umsindisi wesiko, umvelisi Nqango, a very, very special edition, super special edition brought to you by the good folks at Johnny Walker. We did it again. That's how good we did it. And the good folks at the Trace Awards. If you didn't see the Trace Awards, go to YouTube, Trace, figure it out. Trace, the app, check it out. But most importantly today, I have the man from Tembisa, a creative, a DJ, a rapper. I always say to people I meet that I don't trust people who've never tried to rap.
Yeah, for
if
sure.
you were born in the 90s and you never tried to rap,
what did you
I
grow
don't
up
trust
on?
you. What did you grow up on? Because are you even creative?
Bro, we used to grow up and we used to have like those little lyric books where you'd write down an artist's lyrics. Before you had hits and lyrics on like Genius,
before
you'd
Genius
have to create your own lyrics if you couldn't hear it properly.
Crazy enough, the first one I felt like I got it right was Mirror on the Wall, Lil Wayne. And then I discovered Genius the week later. Then I was like, oh, damn.
What? I think one of my first ones was Heaven Sent, Keisha Go. Crazy. Right? I was a very big R&B kid growing up, and I think that stems from just my older brother and my dad. Like, I only found rap at like age 16, 17.
Crazy. But to intro you first, Vikk the Groove. Most importantly, you're an MC, you're a rapper, you're a DJ, you're a musician, all-round creative. If there's someone who's tried it all, it's you. I think the first time we met, the conversation, you were telling a story, and I was like, damn, dog, how old are you? How old? Because of the life you've lived, and you've been in music through all its phases.
Yeah.
How have you felt about the evolution of South African music in general? African music is a broader spectrum.
As a broader spectrum.
Because I remember when we were listening to P Squared.
I was about to say.
And then Windeck came in.
Bro,
and then we made our own Afro beats, and then we made Amapiano, then they made Amapiano.
The soundscape actually gets so much love because of how broad it is. Outside of what we're doing right now with the creation of Amapiano and Afro House and 3-step and just taking over the world with the sound that originally comes from us, you can think about all the times when before now, like your Lady Smith, your Huma Sigela, your Yvonne Chaka Chaka. There was even your Mandozas, even back then the spectrum was so broad that you could not find an artist who wasn't influenced by an African artist. Do you get what I mean? So on my end, I genuinely feel like we are where we're supposed to be, and it's only because of where we come from. We have people like your Burna Boy because we had Fela Kuti, so the soundscape of Africa is just so beautiful because it's so deep also, and it's so complex. It's, I don't even know how to define it, bro,
I said, let's start from the beginning. You're making music. You've been making music. Because when I heard your name the first time, I was chilling with my guy, Wellington. I was like, yo, Wellington, there's this guy from Tembisa. Do you know him? He's like, yeah, Wellington, he used to chill by my other guy who sells product. Let's call it product. That's where I met the guy. So it gives me the background that, yo, you've actually been doing music pre-COVID, pre-everything. You've evolved. You become a DJ. And then you become an MC. And then you get this big-ass opportunity of just being on Trace. And you're the guy now. How's that felt, that whole journey of you walking to these steps? Because at some stage as a creator, you feel like, maybe it's never going to connect. Like,
true. True, because
people ask you that question.
And you see people around you also becoming famous, and it kind of makes you feel some type of way. But my journey's been really beautiful because I think outside of everything else, I know I'm here because God wants to put me here. I know I'm here because God said you're supposed to be here with the people that you're supposed to be here with. So even the times when I felt like I was supposed to be more successful than I was at the time, it was because God was trying to stop me from going before my time. I've watched so many different artists blow up, and I don't want to name drop now because but I've watched so many artists blow up around my WhatsApp. Like I'd have you on my WhatsApp, and then 3 weeks later you just won the Vuzu hustle. You know, like it's like, wait, what just happened? So for me, I feel really, really blessed. One, two, I feel prepared. You know, because of all the times when I've had to take a step back and let someone else shine. I went back to the drawing board and I tried to figure out how do I keep going. So in all my entire journey, I've never felt like I'm here a bit too early. I've always been prepared for all the moments that I've been put in. Hence, I can find myself doing such a wide plethora of like things, you know? And yeah, lastly, I feel like I'm him. I really feel like I'm him.
What's him in Tonga?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
New Music Friday on Trace.
Yeah.
You tap into that, but the journey evolves.
Yeah.
Because you get on TV, now you become an influencer because your voice is becoming a voice that everyone can recognize. And a big brand like Johnny Walker's like, yo, you are the guy.
Big time brand. Yeah.
How do you take in that moment? Because it's like they coming from a different industry because they're doing beverage, fast moving goods. You're on TV.
And I'm presenting.
How do these two things gel together?
I think having, like I said, I've done so many different things in my past. Some of them, bit by bit, were just accumulating into being able to become an influencer, you know? Because being a DJ, one, you have to be able to read people. Then being an MC, you must be able to talk to people, not just on a verbal sense, but even your body language and how you dress and et cetera, et cetera. And as soon as I got to the show, I realized all of these things have to come together. Like my outfit on the show needs to translate how I am about new music and I'm about what the culture's doing right now and et cetera. Like things of that sort. I have to be able to carry that message just in how I dress before I even say, it's your boy Vikk the Groove and welcome back to another episode of, already when I'm on screen, I must be able to carry that through. So by the time when my people from Johnny Walker came through, it was like, this is perfect timing. This just makes it 360 for me because I know what I'm speaking about, I know who I am, and I know the brand as well. Because I've been in the entertainment industry for 10 years, and the entertainment industry goes hand in hand with the alcohol industry as well. So in just that serendipitous relationship that I've had with the beverage business and the music business, by the time they arrived, it was like, I just have to be myself. To be frank, I just kept being me, and it worked.
Everyone always asks this question, yo, you got that deal. How does actually working with a big brand like that elevate you as a creative? Because everyone's always looking at the monetary side. It's like, that guy got a bag.
Firstly, you must always be able to understand that they will humble you. Because a brand has a specific identity that they must uphold and a specific target market that they must reach. And as a DJ, I'm talking to 5,000 people at the same time with one song, but all of them experience it differently. But with a brand, before it leaves the brand itself, it has to have the packaging. So you can't exactly be as eccentric as you are on stage with the brand. As much as they also want you to bring that flavor and that authenticity to how you collaborate with them, you must always understand that there's someone above me and I must make the client happy. You know, so as a creative who's always had this, no man, nyashisa, I know my stuff's gonna come out and people are gonna love it. You take that and you put it in the back burner because you realize that if client says no, then it's a no. But in the same sense, when you work with the beautiful people at Johnny Walker like I have, they'll say, no, change this. Because at the end of the day, they understand that you're the person that's going to be able to speak to the consumers directly. So as much as they want you to be on brand, they also don't want you to be not yourself because they know to defeat the purpose. So to put it in a nutshell, it's like having a teacher dog, you know? But at the end of the year, you pass with flying colors because you were able to listen to the people who can guide you in that direction.
Sure.
Yeah.
You become famous. You become the guy.
Yeah.
You worked for it. Now I can be like, yo, you want to see Vikk? It's on TV.
Yeah.
There was a crazy KO line where it's like, because I'm gonna go TV.
Yeah. I remember that one.
So for me, moments like that, you get there, you get what you wanted. You still have more dreams now that you've unlocked this door. But what can you say this moment has taught you, reflecting? reflecting back?
When I look back, the one thing I think I'll try to put it in a quote. I forgot who it's by, but a giant looks in the mirror and sees nothing. Because when you say Vikk Zombone TV, because I've dreamed about it for so long, I shot the first season of New Music Fridays, about 12 episodes, and I just went back home, watched anime, and I completely forgot that was my life. And every time I go to like a Woolies or I'm at the garage, they're like, yo, can I take a picture with you? It still feels surreal because for me, it was a dream that was internal, but the rest of the world got to see me manifest that dream and they got to build their own dreams off of that. So if I'm gonna sit back and reflect on stuff, it's like, I want so much more because I know I was able to get what I thought was impossible.
Sheesh.
Yeah. Now I want the world because I never thought my mom would call me and say, yo, I'm watching you on TV and I'm proud. And that's because she wanted me to take a corporate career, you know? And that would be, the friction between me and her was built on, she knows I'm a really strong academic. So she was like, yo, don't do this, do this.
But you're in the business of culture now.
Do you understand?
Business of culture now.
You know, it's always good to look back and realize that I'm here because 15-year-old me or 19-year-old me wanted this. So now that I'm 29 or I'm 28, what does 38-year-old me want?
Let's go to the 19-year-old because turning 29. So
Yeah,
that's a decade.
well, I'm already 29, yeah.
Yeah, that's a decade, right? We're looking at this decade, you're seeing everything you dreamt of, you're becoming that. But now you're getting to another level. There's this big monumentous moment, the Trace Awards, Zanzibar. You're part of the campaign in more ways than one. What does that feel like? Secondarily to the feeling, actually more importantly, what's it like seeing other people you saw come up being celebrated at that stage?
Shout out to Tala ICU firstly, because that's one of my homeboys.
Banigi.
But wow, man. Like Trace it was never in my dream book. You know, it was never something that I thought would happen the way that it happened. So being a part of it right now, even with my people at Johnny Walker, it wasn't something that I had put down and I said, I want to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So as soon as things like that come into play, I always give it to God because I'm like, hey, shoot me now, I'm not in control. God must really tell me how can I move with this thing. So to answer your question, it's surreal, man. It's surreal, especially when you realize, because I didn't plan for it and I'm so prepared for it, it always feels like it's God's plan, you know? And once I see the people around me also start to become successful, even if it's more or less or whatever the case may be, it takes me back to the idea of, yeah, this is definitely God's plan. Because if I didn't know Tyler ICU when I met him, my first bar that I rapped was for Tyler. The song never came out. He was in a shack in Tembisa, Ematelagufa. The people from Tembisa will tell you, Ematelagufa. It was a shack with like 2 little speakers. We got in there. The song didn't drop because Shaway load shedding. Do you get what I mean?
Crazy.
Right? Shaway load shedding. But me and him kept communicating back and forth, but we never got in studio ever again. And now when we meet, he's like, hey, Joe, you actually owe me a song. And for me, 10 years ago, if Tyler said you owe me a song, I'd be like, but when Tyler ICU now says you owe me a song, I say, I'll give it to you. But I won't give you now because I understand the fact that you're always going to keep growing because I saw the day one. So again, it just feels right place, right time with the right people. It feels really serendipitous.
How do you feel these awards impact people? Because like we saw Tyler go up, now being acknowledged from your POV because you have that type of access.
Because you always believe in someone before they become big, when you see someone else give them the same recognition that you subconsciously gave them, you just want to stand up and applaud it, you know? You're not just applauding the fact that they've worked so hard to be recognized by people more than just us, but you want to stand up and applaud the people who said, Tyler ICU deserves this award because, yes, he does, you know? The importance of these awards comes on so many different levels because it's like, recognition is always good, especially when it comes from an international brand such as Trace. I mean, we used to come back in high school and go watch Lil Wayne's Lollipop on Trace, and I'm pretty sure Tyler has the same story. So when you see the people who you used to look up to and used to be the tastemakers say, you are now broccoli, you know, man, it's just like that pat on your shoulder that everyone needs. So yeah, definitely it's good to see the people who have the power to make you important pick the right people to be important. You know? So, yeah, to answer your question, the significance of these awards is double-sided. For the artists themselves to get that pat on the back, and for us to also go, okay, that's who I must look out for the next year or for the next 2 years. Because now you are the tastemaker as Trace for what the new school music is supposed to sound like, or you're one of the tastemakers for that. So when you say Tyler ICU deserves Producer of the Year, I believe you. I genuinely believe you, because I can go back to his catalog and I'm like, yo, he actually did so many hits. But I'm only going back to the catalog now because, yeah. Azang has
For the real Tyler ICU fans. That one's for the real Tyler
no
ICU
cap.
fans.
No cap. So you get my point. Now even the old school fans are like, yeah, our guy is there now because they gave him the nod to say, yeah, no, Tyler, come in.
You have a very interesting profession.
Yeah.
You work 5 to 9.
Yeah, basically. Well, technically it can be 9 to 5, 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. Yes. Yeah.
How's that? What's the entertainment industry like from clubbing, MC, DJing, POV? Because we always see people post on the gram or wake up, oh shit, Vikk is performing great, looks amazing. But what's the logistics of someone trying to pursue a career like that? What would you have told yourself like 10 years ago?
Stay delusional. Stay delusional, my brother. Stay in the mental state where you feel as though you're the greatest to ever do it. That's secret number one. If you don't feel like you're the greatest producer to ever do it, I doubt Trace will share that sentiment with you, because it's not going to show in the work. Because when you're in a creative space, you must remember you create. So you can only create from what you have and what you've experienced. And off the top, you intake those things with how you speak to yourself. So if I was speaking to 19-year-old me now, I was going to say, yo, don't bother with the CV. Don't bother with this. If anything, take up production. Take up this, take up this, take up this. So if I were to tell someone to take this up, the first thing I'll tell them, definitely stay crazy. The second one, fall in love with the process more than the idea of seeing the progress. Because once you fall in love with the progress, then you're not a creative anymore. You want to see the results. Like you want to go to the gym and see a six-pack in 6 days. And if you don't see the six-pack in 6 days, you feel like you're not doing enough. And then that can make you lazy now, because you're like, yeah, fine, it doesn't move forward. So this career is interesting, and in the same sense, it's very demanding of, it needs 150% of who you are. Sure. So most definitely, if you stay crazy, you become delusional about yourself. You're like, okay, you know what? Yesterday, I performed in front of 100 people. Only 2 people sang, but I'm still the greatest to ever do it. And the next time you hop on the stage, you're not going to hop on with the 2 people sang the last time. You're going to hop on with the, I'm the greatest of all time. So to answer your question, be crazy, bro.
How do you feel about the award celebrating the whole of Africa? Because at first you used to be like country-based.
I love
this
it.
Inclusivity of it.
I love it because just like the Johnny Walker brand itself, it touches every single part of Africa. And because the awards now touch every single part of Africa, there's so many different artists that you become introduced to now. There's so many different genres. Like I just found out this Francophone, you know, and in finding out, I was so curious because I know all the other African genres are great. So let me go down this specific rabbit hole, and who's Chelsea Dinorat, who's, you know, like who's Josie, and all of these people are from the African diasporas, you know, and we can never, or it's going to be harder for us to find them if we don't sit down and watch the Trace Awards, because the Trace Awards covers all of them. So even if I came to see Rema, I'm being introduced now to Fali Ipupa, you know, and you'll find out I actually like his music. But if it wasn't for the fact that Trace was able to encompass every corner of the continent into one building under one common goal, I wouldn't be able to find all these other artists and realize how broad the soundscape is.
There's a tag Johnny Walker is always using, celebrating bold African creativity.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
Celebrating bold African creativity, one, is understanding that even if the rest of the world doesn't understand it, this is who we are. And they're going to catch up eventually. You know, like for instance, Amapiano. I'll take Amapiano as an example. We started having the love for Amapiano from a 15 LX to Zone 6 to Estradini nje with an actual piano keyboard during the set. And for us, we liked it because it was our little thing, you know? And because it's African excellence, other countries also started picking it up, you know? So when they start picking it up, we start to realize, oh, we've actually got it like that, you know? So for brands like Johnny Walker to celebrate it before it even catches onto the rest of the world is the definition of celebrating African creativity, because you believe in it before everyone else believes it, and you pump that energy into the creativity and into the artists themselves. And then African creativity defined for me is pride, African pride. You know, so for me, African creativity and celebrating it is understanding that this is the birthplace of humankind. And as a result of that, this might be the birthplace of how humankind chooses to articulate themselves in this generation. You know? Yeah.
Vikk the Groove, what's your word to the youth?
Only the ones who are crazy enough to think they can change the world actually ever have the opportunities to change it.
Cnr Juta De Beer, brought to you by Johnny Walker and Trace Music Awards. Check it out.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so
man.
much, my brother.